wow, did they dodge a bullet with that two-point conversion failing at the end there against the Saints. Washington right now still here, probability-wise, an 87% shot to get into the playoffs.
Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to this day after reaction to the Commanders' 20-19 victory over the New Orleans Saints. A good night's rest brings proper perspective. You heard Robert Kanacki come in and tell us that we are now at 87% in terms of our probability to make the postseason, up from 80 a week ago. So the steady climb to our ultimate goal continues. I've told you that the magic number is 10. One more win should get it done. We will focus on that as the week progresses, as we turn our attention to Philadelphia. But today is all about yesterday's outcome. And look, while it wasn't the cleanest of performances, and it definitely wasn't a desirable closing out of an opponent that you should have beat handily, it was, in fact, a win, okay? And having watched the game back again, the theme of the day for me is missed opportunities. And this isn't something that is brand new. We talked about this a lot yesterday, but I want to hammer something home, right? Because I think a lot of times we get mesmerized and sidetracked, and I always try to steer you in the opposite direction of this. So often people get hung up on the officiating. And yes, yesterday was egregious, and it almost cost us the football game. But guess what? And you know what I'm about to say if you've been watching me for any amount of time, then you already know what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway because it bears mentioning yet again. Do not put yourself in a position where the officials can help decide the outcome. We had ample opportunities to prevent the officials from having any sort of impact in this game, and we did not do our part to stop them from having a chance to change the outcome. That is on us. That's an us problem, not a them problem, okay? The officials are humans. They're going to make mistakes. There were some egregious ones yesterday, but guess what? We made even more egregious mistakes that allowed those mistakes of the officials to almost cost us a football game. And you cannot put yourself in that type of position. All right? So that's going to be my primary focus for today, is going back and watching, because in the moment, watching this game, the second half felt like an abject disaster, an epic fail, right? And, you know, when you're in it, when you're watching it and you're watching them fall apart and you're watching them do everything in their power to lose themselves the game, it's hard for you to process what actually is transpiring. You see it, you know it's happened, you understand that this could ultimately lead to us losing, but in your mind, you're like, oh my God, we're going to lose. Oh my God, we're going to lose. Oh my God, we're going to. So you're not really focusing in on the little, small, minute details. But when you go back and watch, now that you know we've won and you don't have to worry so much about, are we going to lose the game? You can start to go back and overanalyze things that didn't happen, that should have happened, that would have resulted in us winning this football game very easily without the drama at the very end. So the first thing I want to talk about, because I thought that the first mistake was us not taking advantage of some late first half opportunities. We didn't know Jake Haener was going to get benched, but there was an opportunity at the end of the first half, his last possession, to pick him off. that opportunity that presented itself would have given us great field position right around midfield, and Mike Sainristil would have had his second pick of the game, and it would have given us an opportunity to insert dagger in said heart and end football game. Now, we didn't get the interception. We did get the football, and we had ample time to go down and score, and we started to mount a drive, and then we didn't make plays. And ultimately, it led to us having to punt the football. That felt like a missed opportunity, right? Those two possessions right there. The drop interception coupled with Jaden Daniels, I believe, taking a sack there at the end of the first half to end that drive. That was a little bit frustrating, but it happens, right? You go to halftime, you're up 14-0, you get the ball, and this is where I thought the issues started. And that's really where we're going to pick up is why we didn't blow them out. Because we were clearly the better team. I mean, statistically, you cannot dominate a team more so on the stat sheet than we did in this game and only win by 1. We won time of possession 40 for the second consecutive game. Time of possession was heavily skewed in the Commanders' favor, 40 to 19, right? Essentially 40 to 20, we'll call it. But it was 40 and some change to 19 and some change, which is what we did to the Titans, which is insane to do that once in a season. Try doing it twice in back-to-back weeks. The Saints were 3 of 11 on third down. We were 9 of 17 on third down, which led to the time of possession discrepancy. So we dominated in some key areas. We were 2 of 3 in the red zone. We're going to get to that, missed opportunity in the red zone here in a second. That's where I was heading as I started off the second half. But they were 1 of 2 in the red zone. So we got to stop in the red zone. So the red zone defense wasn't too shabby. The red zone offense could have been better. I'm going to talk about that here in a second. But look, we had a lot of mistakes in the red zone. And if not for the heroics of Jaden Daniels and some great catches by Terry McLaurin, who knows if in a great fumble recovery by Jeremy McNichols, who knows what happens in the red zone. It could have been a lot worse. We might have lost the game, right? But we were 2 of 3 in the red zone. We created a turnover. We should have created 3. Right? Just talked about a missed opportunity by Frozone. We're going to get to the Oos dropped interception because that was massive. You want to know another stat was eye-popping in this game, and we've talked about it, and some of these were BS calls, whatever. 9 penalties for 84 yards. Not all of them were BS calls. Not all of them were self-imposed, self-sanctioned, flags by the officials that made absolutely no sense. Some of these were legitimate penalties, like the Benjamin St. Juste hands to the face. That was a real penalty. On a 3rd and long, that was a sack and Washington getting off the field. In a 10-point game, under 10 minutes to go, that could have been the stop. They would have been punting deep in their own territory. We would have gotten great field position. They really didn't stop us in the second half. We stopped ourselves, whether it was a sack or stupid penalties that derailed drives. It was us. It wasn't really them. So I'd like to think that if they would have given us the ball again, we would have been able to move it because we really moved it all second half, except for when we did things that destroyed our own drives. But instead, they got the ball back. So let's go through. We outgained them by almost 100 yards, et cetera, et cetera. I could keep going because everything was so slanted towards the Commanders. This should have been a 31-13 victory, a 34-10 victory, not a 20-19 victory. Everything suggests that this should have been a 3-score contest. But this is why it wasn't. So let's get into it because really everything that happened in the second half that led to this game being way closer than it needed to be. So the first possession was excellent. It was a beautiful mix of run and pass. I thought Cliff Kingsbury, who largely had a tremendous day. I thought Cliff was outstanding today or yesterday. Stands for 2 calls, and I went over those 2 calls yesterday, so I'm not going to beat that horse. It's been long dead. But this drive, he was masterful, getting the ball to Brian Robinson Jr. in space. There was a cute play where they start out with 2 backs in the backfield. McNichols offset to Jaden's right and B-Rob behind McNichols. Then he sends B-Rob in motion, and he catches the snap. And the snaps were a little bit of a problem all day. They were all over the place. Jaden had to be an athlete back there, almost like a catcher, fielding snaps high, left, right, up, down, sideways. But he catches the snap, and he throws it to B-Rob, who is standing behind Jaden Daniels. So in effect, it was a run, not a pass. He throws it backwards to him, and there's a convoy in front of him, and he runs and he picks up about 14 yards. It's a beautiful play, and it was Cliff being in his bag. Speaking of which, I just want to give a shout out to Cliff Kingsbury because clearly he utilized the bye week in a way that allowed us to maximize Terry McLaurin. Without our number 2 receiver on the field and a bunch of cast-offs essentially filling in at the number 2 spot, Terry McLaurin, you could argue, had his most productive day. Not statistically, but the Saints had no answers for Terry McLaurin. And you want to know why? Because we moved him around quite a bit. Think about the deep balls that were missed. All 3 of them came on what side of the field? Now, think about the corner route that he ran. Where was that at? On the left side of the field, right? So the 3 deep balls that could have either been caught or pass interference should have been called, all of them on the right side. The corner route to the left side. There were out routes to Terry on both sides of the field, quick outs on both the left and the right, multiple quick outs. The touchdown, the second touchdown, he starts on the right side of the formation, runs all the way across, and catches the dot from Jaden. The first touchdown, he starts on the left side of the formation, runs out to the right side, right? Then he sees Jaden in trouble, runs all the way back to the left, puts his hand up, points to the back of the end zone like, hey, throw me the rock, and he gets it. So it was constant movement for Terry. In motion. They threw him a little screen that Diami got called for holding on. That destroyed a drive, I believe. Maybe, I don't think it destroyed that drive. I'm not sure. I think we had a lot of, long down and distances that we overcame in this game, whether it was because of Jaden's legs or, him, making good decisions on 2nd and 20 to get it to like this particular instance. I believe after that Diami penalty, it was 3rd and 14. And I think he ended up throwing the ball to, if I'm not mistaken, Jamison Crowder. We were short, kicked the field goal. Then they had the penalty that gave us the ball back, and then we ended up scoring the touchdown on the opening possession. I bet a lot of you forgot about that, but the Saints were definitely helpful as well. But we had a holding penalty, and it was 2nd and 20. I want to say that was the B-Rob holding penalty when Jaden tried to keep it on the read option and get outside, and B-Rob kind of grabbed the defender as Jaden was turning the corner. And it made it 2nd and 20, and he finds Diami for 12, and then he hits Crowder for like 10 and a first down. So we overcame some long down and distances throughout the course of this game due to self-inflicted wounds. But on that particular drive to start the second half, it was flawless execution. And we move it all the way down. B-Rob was exceptional on the drive. But if you get a chance to watch, there's a play. And if you're a member of the mob, we'll watch it together and we'll talk about it. But there's a play on the 2nd and goal where it looks like it's going to be a touchdown. I was sure that B-Rob was getting in the end zone. You got our it's a GC play, right, where you pull the guard in the center, and I'm convinced that he's gonna score on this play. He gets Allegretti coming around, and I want to say it was guard center. It might have. I don't think it was Coleman. It might have been guard tackle. I really feel like it was. It might have been two guards. I swear it's probably guard center, but Allegretti was the culprit here, right? So he comes around, and if Allegretti does what Allegretti normally does in those situations, which is destroy that guy in the hole, the linebacker, which was Demario Davis, and he's really good still at his ripe old age. He's still really good. B-Rob's going to score a touchdown there, but he doesn't really get a hand on anybody in the hole, and it allows them to kind of corral B-Rob by his ankles and stops him from being able to power his way into the end zone like he normally does. And so that set up the third and goal from the 1, which I just figured just give it to B-Rob again. There's no reason to get cute here. And that was the play call that I talked about. It was the first of 2 really bad play calls on the day by Cliff Kingsbury. But you run the naked for Jaden. It was a bad call. It was bad against Philadelphia. I don't know why you would think that a play in which Luke McCaffrey is designed to block or at least wall off Cam Jordan is a good play. I just don't understand why you would trust Luke McCaffrey in that situation with the key block that is going to spring the quarterback. Why you would trust him with that responsibility in that situation when you could just hand it off to B-Rob and let the big guys in front do what they've been doing on this drive and for most of the game. Even when it wasn't pretty, they were blocking well enough to get a yard. Why not do that again, right? Or just stay in the gun and go read option and make them make a choice. Like you made them make a choice on 4th down, right? Like, why are we getting cute? Why are we doing all of this extra stuff? So I thought that was a bad play call. And that was our chance to put the game away. Again, a touchdown there, you go up 21-0, game's over. But instead, you keep the door slightly ajar, but it's still 17-0, but then they make the quarterback switch. And I talked about this yesterday. The switch didn't flip for the staff when Spencer Rattler came in because Haener was so bad, it put them in a frame of mind of they can't hurt us. So we turned down an opportunity to make a 3rd and 10, a 2nd and 20 because we didn't think they could convert. And I don't blame them. The first play that Spencer Rattler comes in, they run bootleg, we're all over it. He throws an incomplete pass. The second play, the one that they call holding on the Saints, we get pressure on him. They call holding. He throws an incomplete pass. Again, they're thinking, hey, this kid's just like Haener. We're going to come in here. We're going to destroy him just like we did Haener, and they can't do anything. We don't need the penalty. Just make it 3rd and 10 because they can't pick up 10 yards at once. And they got 12. And it was from that point on that they gained confidence. And they went down. He had the big play, and there was great pressure on that play. And I still don't know how Valdez-Scantling caught that football. Jeremy Chin, instead of him reaching for the football, he tries to catch it, because defenders can't catch for real. That's the biggest problem is defensive backs can't catch. Most of those guys don't have good hands, so they want to catch it with their bodies. If he would have extended for that ball with his hands, either he's picking it off or it's incomplete, but it's not going to be caught. But because he was trying to basket catch it, because he didn't trust his hands, he allowed a guy to come from out of nowhere and take the ball away from him with their hands. So lesson to all you young football players out there, always attack the football with your hands when at all possible. They had no business being caught. That was a risky decision that paid off huge dividends because we aren't playmakers on the defensive side of the football. So that gets caught. And then ultimately, it sets up a trick play to Alvin Kamara. It's a great catch, and it's a touchdown. And all of a sudden, a team that was dead, that had no life, 17-7. We get the ball, we move it down the field, we get in the field goal range, and and this is more poor officiating. The clock hits 00 at the end of the third quarter for like 5 seconds. They don't stop the play. They let him kick the field goal. He misses. What if he would have made that? They probably would have done the same thing that they did for us, because Rizzy would have lost his shit had it been good, right? Like, hey, the clock expired. And then what if he missed on the other side of the quarter? Like, what are they doing anyway, right? Like, this was one of the worst officiating games I've seen our team be involved in quite some time. And that's saying a lot. We've been in some really poorly officiated football games where we complained vigorously afterwards. This one takes the cake, though, because you had that snafu at the end of the third quarter that could have gone either way. If he makes the kick and then they make him kick it again and he misses the kick, that would have hurt us. But it happened the other way. He should have never been kicking a kick in the first place. Maybe him missing the first kick is what helped him make the second one. I don't know. But he should have never been attempting to kick in the first place. That quarter had expired by 5 to 7 seconds. It's ridiculous. And then the play at the end is ridiculous. It's even more egregious because it almost cost us the game. Like, you cannot have that type of malpractice. I don't know what that referee that came in off of the sideline waving his arms to stop. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but it almost cost us the game. Anyway, but we ended up getting the field goals, 20-7, and you go to the fourth quarter. You're feeling good. The Saints get the ball. They move it down the field. They really scored on that possession because of a really bogus personal foul penalty on Dante Fowler Jr., the first of two, which just absolutely was insane. Like, are you kidding me? It's not a personal foul penalty. And without it, that's a 51-yard field goal they're kicking there, folks. Without that penalty, they're not in field goal range. So the next drive, it's 20-10, and we had a chance for the dagger. That's the first opportunity we had for the dagger, clearly. So what I just essentially explained to you is the defense should have gotten a stop there, right? The referees indirectly allowed the Saints in the field goal range with a poor call, right? Because they wouldn't have gotten there otherwise. So then you get to 20-10, got a chance for the dagger, the first one. Terry's open. He splits the safeties. It's a deep post. He's wide open. It's winning time. I'll go win the game. And Jaden overshoots him, and you're like, ugh. And in the moment, I told the mob, we're going to be in a dogfight now. We're going to have to fight. We're going to sweat this one out. It's my exact words to them. After that was missed. I just knew it. What I didn't know was we're going to get 2 more opportunities to make a similar big play, and we were going to spoil those as well. I did not expect it, because generally you only get 1 of those shots in a game. If you miss it, you blew it, right? But when you're playing a 5-8 team, you might get another chance or 2. And so that possession, though, ended in a punt. The first punt of the second half, I think, for either team. I think it was the only punt in the second half for either team, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the Commanders punted once more, because the Saints did not punt at all in the second half. So we punt the ball, and we pin them all the way down inside their 10-yard, let's call it the 7. And Spencer Rattler, on his first drop back, he's at the 1 or 2 yard line when he throws his football. Clean blitz off the edge by Jeremy Chin, and he panics and he just throws it away. He's standing right in the pocket, right where he caught the snap, never moved. He's in the pocket. He's in the tackle box. There's no receiver within 10 yards of the throw, out of bounds. Nobody's remotely close. Got a guy running a go route. You got another guy running across the middle of the field. This is apparent intentional grounding. No call. Instead, on the next play, he makes a great throw to Foster Moreau, picks up a lot of gain of, let's call it 19, 20 maybe, and now they're out of their own shadow of their goalpost. But, let's tack on 15 more for another Dante Fowler, egregious Dante Fowler Jr. Personal foul penalty. Like, are you kidding me right now? So that was insanity, pure insanity. No, as a matter of fact, let me go back. So there's another drive, right? Or I might have it right. Because it was 20-10, I think, at the time when we were going to get the defensive stop. It's 20-10. So I want to say it was 2010. Could have been 2013. Because that drive that I'm talking about right now is another field goal drive for them. Because of that Dante Fowler Jr., penalty. They were able to kind of kickstart that drive. And again, that wasn't a great call. That was not a penalty. But I digress. I think it was 2013 when we had the opportunity to get the stop. We come out, we get them into a third down situation, and Dorrance Armstrong gets the sack on Spencer Rattler. And Benjamin St-Juste played 3 snaps, 3 whole entire snaps, and he couldn't keep his hands to himself on one of the 3 snaps. Typical Benjamin St-Juste. Gives up a penalty, and they ultimately go down and score a field goal on that drive. So it was 20-10. So when it was 20-7, that was the drive where they started deep in their own territory, got the egregious personal foul penalty on Dante Fowler Jr., if I'm not mistaken. That helped them get in the field goal range, and they made the field goal. When it was 20-10, they called Benjamin St-Juste, rightfully so, for hands to the face on a sack that would have gotten us off the field at 20-10 with about probably 9 minutes to go in the game. Again, it would have been that would have been it. With the way we were moving the football and the amount of time they were going to need, with the way we were possessing it, converting on third downs, we would have ate up at least half of that clock. And then they would have had to, hustle and all of that good stuff. So big play, right, to keep the game alive. And then even getting down there when it was 20-10, Frankie Louie has a pick in his hand. Perfect coverage. Like, I don't know what more you want Joe Witt to do, right? We kill this defense for its fourth quarter failures, but you had a sack on the third down that would have prevented points. You had an interception opportunity that would have prevented points. And these are opportunities that we missed. You had another interception opportunity, and you let a guy come in front of you and essentially take the football from you. I don't know what else you want Joe Witt to do, right? We literally had a corner take away half of the field the entire day, and we still couldn't manage to make more plays. I don't understand. But I said all of that to say this. They got off the field a couple of times. They had chances to get off the field a couple of times. This wasn't like Cincinnati where we couldn't stop them, right? This wasn't that. We've seen games where it wouldn't have mattered. We couldn't stop them. It wasn't that. We had chances to stop them. We had chances on offense to extinguish the fire that was starting to burn brighter and brighter, and we didn't do it. And that was the name of this game. Missed opportunities. And then we don't even want to get started on the, clock stoppage at the end of the game, which is just utterly ridiculous. We've had some calls go against us in some pretty rotten ways. The Steelers game call at the end was just an egregious call. We've had some calls go against us this year. But just like I said about this game, say the same thing about the Steelers game. Can't let the officials be in a position to help dictate the outcome of a game. You don't give up the deep ball there at the end. If you don't miss Luke McCaffrey, we're not having that conversation, right? So same thing applies here. But the beauty of it is, and this is the silver lining in all of this. One, the most important thing is we won. But two is the fact that the opportunities were there. And that's not something we've always been able to say this season. Again, the Ravens game, we couldn't get a stop to save our lives. There was one penalty that the officials called that was egregious on Benjamin St-Juste on the third down that kept a drive alive and they scored points on. But let's be honest with ourselves. We couldn't stop the Ravens that day, right? Let's be honest with ourselves. We couldn't stop Cincinnati. So we had to keep scoring. So This wasn't that. And it shouldn't have been. We're playing the 5-8 Saints with their third string quarterback. Like, it shouldn't have been that. But it felt like that watching it. But we had opportunities. And it's why I'm still encouraged moving forward. Like, some of you, well, you can't beat this team or that team. That is not indicative of what they do every week. It's funny. I was watching the Chargers game, and I feel like we're very similar to the Chargers in the sense that, they got their guy, we got our guy, right? The biggest difference is Herbert's been at it a little bit longer, but we both feel like we got one of them ones, right? They got a first-year head coach. This is not his first time. He's in the second go-round as a head coach. He's made it to a Super Bowl, lost in a Super Bowl. We got our head coach who was in his first year here, but his second time around, went to the Super Bowl, lost the Super Bowl, right? They turned over a lot of their roster, did the Chargers, changing their philosophical approach. We turned around our roster, turned it over, changing our philosophical approach. They got a new GM. We got a new GM. It's all new in Los Angeles with the Chargers. It's all new here in Washington with the Commanders. And they're trying to establish their identity. We're trying to establish our identity. A lot of similarities between the Chargers program and ours. And going into the game on Sunday, we were both 8-5. So to me, there are a lot of similarities. But here's the biggest difference is we got better play callers. We got better coaches than the Chargers do. We got better personnel than the Chargers do. And I don't necessarily know if that's the truth on defense. It is on offense, without question. We got better personnel. They got better tackles on offense. That's it. That's the only thing that they have that's better than us, offensive line-wise. Our interior, light years ahead of theirs. Their tackles, light years ahead of ours. But after that, we win in every other category. Receiver, tight end, running back, check, check, check. And I'll take my guy over theirs, quarterback as well, check. They may beg to differ. That's fine. We can agree to disagree there. But I only say all of that to say this. Their defense has been phenomenal. They were the number one scoring defense in the league going into Sunday's contest. And then they give up 40 points to Tampa Bay. And I just thought to myself, outside of week 1 against Tampa Bay, we really haven't been beat up in any individual game. Like, we're in every game. And it really didn't dawn on me until I was watching the game live yesterday, and it said the Commanders are 4-4 in one-score games. And I'm like, have we been in that many close games this season? And then I had to reflect. Because it felt like we've been in a lot of blowouts where we've been doing the ass kicking, and it felt like we've been in a lot more of those than close games because they resonate a little bit more. But when you take a step back and you assess the situation, you're like, well, both Giants games were one-score games, and the win against Chicago obviously was a one-score game. And so you start calculating everything, and you're like, okay, well, we blew out Carolina, Arizona, Cleveland, and Tennessee. That's only 4 wins. We got 9 of them. 2 Giants wins, the Cincinnati game, the Bears game, and then the Saints game. Well, those were all one-score games, so yeah. And then, the more important thing was we got 5 losses. 4 of them are one-score losses. Ravens, Eagles, Steelers, and the Cowboys. And you think about all of those losses, and you're a player or 2 away in every single one of those games. Every single one of those games. And it changes my perspective. Like, I know it's hard for you guys to kind of take that in, and you can do whatever you want with that information. You could deny it if you want, knock yourself out. But You're a Benjamin St. Juste non-penalty call away from getting the ball back with the chance to tie that game up or take the lead if you were ballsy enough to go for 2. The Ravens weren't really stopping us on offense in that second half either. Jaden put together 2 big-time drives when we were down, 20, I want to say it was 27-13 at one point in that game. And they were looking to put us away. And Jaden put together 2 drives. The one with the touchdown to Terry, and then the field goal drive to get us within a score. We were right there, right? We were up on the Eagles 10-6 in the fourth quarter. We had the ball down 12-10 deep in Eagles territory on a 4th and 1. It was 2nd and 1, and somehow we managed to botch 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1, and then 4th and 3, right? So we were right there. Right there. We were leading the entire fourth quarter against the Steelers, and then with about a minute and let's call it 37 seconds left, you give up a deep ball touchdown, and now you're trailing 28-27. But you got the ball back, you got an opportunity, and then the officials decide, nope, not today. We're going to spot you a full yard short of where your guy was down at. Sorry, Steelers ball. We're going to be lazy today. But obviously, we had all the opportunities in the world in that game, right? We've talked about that. You make that throw to Luke McCaffrey out of your own end zone, and we're not even having that conversation. You beat the Steelers with ease. We should have beaten the Steelers by 2 scores. But again, we're still figuring out how to make winning plays in winning time consistently. That's an art that you have to master. The best of the best have that down to a science. That has eluded us because we're young and we're trying to figure it out. But the best teams in the league figure it out consistently. We're not there yet. But I love the fact that we're in the position to win those games. That's, again, there's steps to this. Again, you may not want to hear this, and that's fine. But I told you the first step on the road to becoming a good team is beating inferior opponents, beating the teams you're supposed to beat. Again, we've done that this season to the tune of 8 out of 9, I would say. 8 out of our 9 wins have come against teams that we should have beat, right? The Giants twice, the Steelers, or excuse me, the Browns, the Panthers, the Titans, the Saints, and we lost to the Cowboys. So I'd say 7 of our 9 wins, or 7 of our 14 games. We played 14 games, right? 9 and 5. 7 of our 14 games. Half of our games have come against teams we should have beat. And we beat 6 of them. 6 out of the 7. We weren't supposed to beat Arizona. We were underdogs on the road. We weren't supposed to beat Cincinnati. We were supposed to get throttled in week number 3 against them. We weren't supposed to win that game. So that's 2 of the 3 remaining wins, and then the Bears. And we should have beat them up too. But we weren't supposed to beat them up. But we should have. So all I'm telling you is that's the first step. Well, we're getting close to mastering that step. You'd like to be cleaner in the execution and win that game going away like you've done most of those this season. But, shit happens. Shit happens, unfortunately. But the next step after that is learning how to make winning time plays when those plays are required. 5 has all but mastered that already. Because how many big plays did he make in this game? Whether it's a third down scramble and run and slide, or it's a fourth down, gotta have it. Oh, they're gonna tackle B-Rob for a loss. I'm pulling it and I'm jumping over the pile and getting this first down. He had winning time execution locked down. That throw to De'Ami Brown was supposed to ice it. He was ready to get it done. Just like he did against the Giants, knowing that we couldn't give the ball back to the Giants with a chance to take the lead because our defense wasn't going to get the stop. He knew what the assignment was against the Giants, and he closed the show. Same thing against the Giants the first time. Same thing against the Bengals. Knew what the assignment was. Defense not going to get a stop. Can't give it back to Joe Burrow or we're going to lose this game. He knew what the assignment was. He always knows what the assignment is. So when you got one of them ones back there at quarterback, you're already in a position to win down the stretch. You just got to get him the football. And he was prepared to do that again in this game. And unfortunately, penalties happened. And I didn't love the play call. I talked about Cliff Kingsbury running that wide receiver screen. I didn't love that. They had issues with Jaden all day long just in the drop back game, whether he was throwing it or he's using his legs. Yeah, they sacked him 8 times, technically probably like 3 times, really, maybe 4 max. But for the most part, he hurt him with his legs. And you much rather Jaden have the ball in his hands than the wide receiver screen there. I didn't love that play call, but all I'm telling you is we've been competitive all season long. The Chargers got their asses whooped. Like we're in week 15, excuse me. There shouldn't be any ass whoopings being administered now. If you're a good team, you shouldn't be getting your ass throttled. You might lose. Everybody loses. But you shouldn't be getting your ass whooped this time of the year. If you're a good team, if you're a playoff team. This ain't the time to be getting your ass whooped. I don't care who you playing. Nobody's doing that to us. Nobody's done that to us all season long. And yeah, Tampa got us. That was week 1. I mean, you want to count that one, go right ahead. I'm not stopping you. But ain't nobody done it to us since. And all I'm telling you is, in my day after reaction, my biggest takeaway is the opportunities were there for us to do what we needed to do. And I would be more concerned and worried if the opportunities weren't there. We just didn't look good. No, the opportunities were there and we didn't seize them. We got to start taking advantage of those opportunities. And I think those things will happen eventually. But I'd rather have the opportunity than not have the opportunity. I talk about this in the draft. Like, I'd rather have the opportunity to draft that player than him not be on the board and not have him at my disposal, right? I talked about this with Odell Beckham Jr. on the video on the Commanders King channel. I'd rather have the option to pick between KJ Osborne and Odell Beckham Jr. than not have the option. I'd rather have the opportunities be there and us not take advantage of them because we created those opportunities than them not be there and you go, what the hell are we doing? Terry McLaurin was running open, free 3 times. Frankie Louie had a pick in his hands. We had a 3rd down sack to get them off the field. And we had a penalty to extend. We had a catch down inside the 20-yard line that would have effectively ended this game, and we had a penalty. One of the biggest issues is that this is not the first time that has happened. And penalties are becoming a problem, whether you think the officials have it out for us or not. Penalties are starting to become a problem. They were a problem in the first half of this game. They were definitely a problem in the second half of this game. Some warranted, others not so much, but the fact remains the same. We're being penalized. We got to clean that shit up. Because one thing I can tell you about this team is our margin for error is small. Now, the only reason we even have a margin of error is because of 5. Without him, there is no margin of error. But because we got 5, we have a small margin of error. But if you're committing penalties, you're not taking advantage of opportunities when they're created and they present themselves. If you're turning the ball over, which we did not do yesterday, but if you're not taking it away when you got a chance, that's just as bad. It's just as bad. It's not quite the same, but it's on par. They're cousins. And we had chances to create 3 turnovers yesterday. And we didn't. So, essentially what I'm saying to you is, good teams in this league seize opportunities. The great teams create, let me say that again. Good teams create opportunities. The elite teams, the upper crust, not only create opportunities, but they seize them. You make a mistake, that's an opportunity and a break for us. Now we're going to take advantage of it. Prime example, Eagles yesterday. 20-13, clinging to a 7-point lead. Steelers on the move. Najee Harris decides he wants to fumble the football. Eagles recover. Eagles take that football, drive it all the way down the field, score a touchdown, go up 14 points, win the game by that same 14-point margin. An opportunity was created. They seized that opportunity, and they didn't look back. That's what good teams do. That's what the upper crust, that's what they do, right? Lions wanted to kick an onside kick yesterday. Probably didn't need to, but I bet you Dan Campbell felt like, we can't stop them. So let's see if we can steal the possession, because we can't stop them. And what did the Bills say? Oh, you created an opportunity for us. Cool. We're going to go ahead and take that thing and make it happen, right? That's what the upper crust does. We're not there yet. But we are creating the opportunities. And again, that's another step on the road to becoming one of the league's best. It's a process. I know y'all ain't trying to hear it, but that is my overarching theme on the day after this 20-19 win against the Saints, is that we're taking steps towards being the best version of ourselves without even having the roster that will allow us to be the best version of ourselves. We can't worry about what the offseason holds because we're chasing after something this year. But for what we have and the things that we're able to do, we're limited in the resources. But for what we do have, I'd say we're a damn good team considering the circumstances. And we got a new toy on defense. He works just fine. All right. We got the batteries. We put them in. And damn it, it was well worth the wait. Now we got another toy coming on offense. Let's see how that one works. Not as convinced it's going to be as much fun as this last toy. But heard rave reviews about the defensive toy that we got. We knew we were getting a really special toy, right? This offensive one, mixed reviews, depending on who you ask. You ask the Patriots, he lacks juice. He can't separate. You ask the Vikings, and they'll tell you he's a damn good receiver. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm excited. Either way, this conversation that we just had, it beats the alternative, right? It beats the alternative of talking about draft order and strength of schedule. We were just there last year. This is a lot more entertaining, isn't it? Talking about playoff probability and finding a way to win in December. Our second win in December after having not won a game in December since 2021. That's 2 in a row. Like, don't let this stuff be lost on you. Again, I'm here to refocus you on enjoying this ride. Enjoy the ride. We're 9-5. And we look like we're playoff bound. And we got a big one this week. We'll get to that, but enjoy the win. Enjoy the win. We're 9-5. A lot of teams would love to trade places with us. Tell you that much. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on the day after reaction to the 20-19 win over the Saints. I'm just going to tell you, I'm a lot more optimistic than a lot of you are probably are, and that's fine. I see 5. I see the connection growing with Terry. I see the weapons that we do have, and you know, some of these injuries are going to start to hurt eventually. No Eckler, no Ertz, no Brown. These will start to, you know, eventually they'll catch up with us. If somebody else doesn't step up in that role, it'll catch up. Like at tight end, I don't know who else is going to assume. Like, we don't trust throwing the ball to John Bates, right? None of us do. He had a big 3rd down catch yesterday, but I was screaming, stay down, do not get up, right? Because if you get up, they might knock it out of your arms. Just stay down, right? I think everybody's clamoring for Ben Sinnott. I don't see it. I don't see him being the guy you want him to be this year. Maybe next year or the year after that, the year after that. But I keep telling y'all, I think he's Kyle Juszczyk in this offense. And Kyle Juszczyk doesn't take the place of George Kittle when he gets hurt. So, and I'm not saying that Zach Ertz is George Kittle, but you get where I'm going with that. So, anyway, I digress. Celebrate! It's Victory Monday. Perk up. You had an opportunity to get some good night's rest on a victory. You should be ecstatic that we're sitting here at 9-5 with a chance to get the double-digit wins and essentially clinch a playoff ticket by beating the Philadelphia Eagles. What more do you want? What could be sweeter than that? They got what are they on, a 10-game winning streak? Longest in franchise history? Somebody got to do it. Somebody got to do it. Why not the streak breakers? Anyway, see you guys next time. Have a good one.